So today, let's talk about single action revolvers, which I have several, and let's get into it. So single action revolvers are, I think, just some of the coolest guns that you can get. I got into them kind of a long way around. Long time ago, I was getting into 3-gun. And what I liked about 3-gun was the barrier to entry for me wasn't very high because I had a Mossberg 500, I had an AR-15, and I had a Glock. So I was like, I'll go down and I'll do me some 3-gun. And I did that, and I found that 3-gun, at least in the club I was at, was more of a competition of who could spend the most money and not so much of a competition of who could shoot the best. And it was very competitive in the ways that I didn't enjoy it. I went because I liked shooting and whatnot, but I wasn't in love with it. At the time, there was a guy that I knew that was a gun store owner and a gunsmith, and he had talked about cowboy action shooting. I'd never really heard of it. And he was saying, oh, it's really cool. He actually told me that they do gun spinning, which isn't true. But I kind of started watching the videos, and I was like, that is awesome. But I just didn't have the money at the time to get into it. But I thought, like, man, this is something that eventually I want to do. So through the years, I acquired, different guns. I got, an 1887 shotgun because of Terminator 2, so I had that. And then sometimes I would come across, a Henry lever action that I could afford, so I got that. And then eventually it got to the point where I was like, man, if I just had a pair of some single action revolvers, I could go shoot. So the first pair that I got was this pair right here. These are Ubertis. They are 1873 Cattlemen's. They have the bird's head grip because the bird's head grip is super cool, and they're short. And I thought, like, at the time, like, having that really short barrel, I could get on target fast, and of course I thought I was gonna do gunfighter right off the bat and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, that'll be good because there won't be weight to compete with. So these are the ones that I got. I then eventually, when I moved out here, I started getting serious about really getting into it because I found that I did have guns. I had enough guns to do it. I made the mistake of watching some videos by this guy named Jedi Knight. And Jedi Knight, if you've seen his videos, if you haven't seen his videos, go check him out. He has great videos. He's a fantastic shooter. But what happened is I discovered that he used to shoot at the club that's right down the street from me. And the videos I was seeing were people from that club, and damn, they were really good. And I was intimidated. So I started going to the range and practicing my draw and trying to get practice. But really the only way to practice cowboy action is to do cowboy action. And the people in cowboy action are so great. I just got scared for no reason. And I should have went a year earlier than I went. But I ended up, when I went and I got into it, it was a lot of fun. And we have a great group, and there are some phenomenal shooters. And, I do finish accordingly because the guys that have been doing it so long and are very, very practiced, they deserve to be finishing ahead of me. Although every now and then I'll jump up in the ranks. But what I found in doing these is, although they are quick, the speed that you do at cowboy action because cowboy action is less a competition of accuracy. Our targets, they're big, they're close, and kind of trying to do this one-handed thing is not as fast as being able to do something like this. So going to one hand, but the shorter barrel, is very unforgiving on that. So especially when you're starting out, you're trying to shoot clean, but you're trying to go fast, so you can rack up misses. So these are my favorite pistols, and I shoot them very, very rarely. I mean, usually not in cowboy action because I just have much faster pistols. But I do like the hand feel, the 1873. So the next set that I got, I've mentioned before that I like my cowboy character to be kind of eclectic, so I went with kind of mismatched grips. And I was like, well, let's go the opposite. Let's go 7.5. We'll go with big, long ones. And I went in and I started doing duelist, which is where I fire from this hand. And then I come in and I grab another gun and I fire from this hand. So I was practicing on, you know, getting, you know, using both hands, doing different things. Not quite gunfighter, but still a gun in each hand. Just one loaded one at a time. And you could tell that these ones, they are not very slicked up. That's a lot of work and weight that my thumb is doing. And it's because these are, they're not exactly budget, but they're not exactly not budget. So I wanted to get a good pair of revolvers. And I really was liking the hand feel of the 7.5s. These are 45 Colt. My bird's heads are 357-38. So a different caliber. Now, there's different divisions in cowboy action. Please subscribe to the channel. I break this down more in other videos and things like that. But the division that I was wanting to shoot the most was called Classic Cowboy, and wanted to have 45 Colt for that, because you have to have bigger than 40 caliber. So I decided, after, you know, handling some other folks' guns, seeing some slicked guns, you know, doing some different things, that I was going to go with the Ruger New Model Vaquero over the Single Action Army Clone. And the reason is, and again, if you can check out a video where I compare these, it's just that where they have lost some bulk and some weight in the New Model Vaquero fits my hand, I feel, better than the Single Action Army. So for me, my hand size and my body size, I think the Vaquero works great for me. You know, I don't think either gun is necessarily better, but for me as a shooter, this is more comfortable. So I went with this 7.25, and you can see that my trigger there, my hammer spring, is very, very light. These also have a work done to them by Jimmy Spurs, where if I kind of half cock like that, most of the time, if you did that on another type of gun, if you then went back and did this, you'd end up having to go around the wheel. But on this one, it'll catch it on that. So I can shoot these very fast here, or when I do my duelist style, I can shoot them very fast there. I'm just getting into gunfighter. I haven't done gunfighter at any matches yet, but I do practice gunfighter, and I do enjoy these for these. I've got also sure hit brass sights on these. You know, everything's lightened. They're not short stroked. I have found from operating short stroke pistols that I don't like them as much. I feel like I get more misfires with them than I do with my other guns, just because there's no forgiveness in that short stroke. Now, having the 45 Colt is nice, and doing that duelist, and I decided to do Classic Cowboy half the year. And the reason is shooting 45 Colt is expensive. You know, at Cowboy Action, a lot of time you're going dollar, when you're shooting. So, you know, having 38s, it saves you some money. So I shoot, you know, traditional age category. Sometimes I'll shoot B Western. So I wanted to get a set of guns for that. You know, the money that I'm saving in ammunition, I just put right back into guns. So I got a set of New Model Vaqueros, and this is your kind of your traditional. This is your 4 and I believe 3/8 barrel. These ones are slicked up, and I did get ones that had that Montado style hammer on it. So, you know, I was thinking getting into gunfighter on this, that would be, you know, a good way to do it, because my thumb would not have to travel as far. But what I found is my thumb, it's kind of unnatural to get it here versus just getting my thumb fully up. So I actually feel like I do gunfighter better with the 7.5s. Again, I haven't competed in gunfighter yet, so we'll see what ends up being true on that. But these ones I really enjoy, and I'll shoot these, you know, the other half of the year. So I've become a Vaquero man. So those are my, you know, my Vaqueros, which have had all the things done to them. They've got, you know, the light and spring and everything else. And my Single Action Army clones are more, they've had a little bit of work. I've done a little bit of stuff to them, just not as much. They're closer to factory. And a lot of times what happens is when we go out shooting, if I have a friend come with me or whatnot, a lot of times I'll start them out on the 1873s, because you got to go deliberately a little bit slower. And then if they pick it up and they want to, you know, come out with me again, it's like, hey, try the Vaquero, see what you like better. Now, I do have a couple other guns that I want to show you. One is I have a set of Denix Single Action Army clothes. So these are replica guns. And they function, they've got, there the gate opens, the hammer moves, the cylinder turns, all that good stuff. But they're replicas. They don't fire, but they are weighted as if they were the real thing. You'll see people use these sometimes in movies and things. And I'll use them for a couple of reasons. One, if I have a new holster that I'm breaking in, the best thing I can do is just shove this gun in there because it matches, the dimensions of my other one pretty closely, and kind of form that leather around it. And then, two, the other thing is this allows me to practice my draw safely anyway, where I do a lot of dry fire practice, but I don't like to bring, these ones into the house or anything like that. Whereas, this one, if it's like, well, I'm going to kind of, be practicing that draw and that put away a little bit while I'm watching TV or whatever, that's something good. Because one of the things that I was finding, I take videos of my, my shoots, is that I was losing time because I have to find my holster with my eyeballs to put the gun away versus knowing where that holster is. So just getting a little practice on that is good. The other thing, I mentioned gun spinning way back. I think gun spinning is sort of silly because it's flashy for flashy's sake. It doesn't make your bullets go any faster. But the more that I watch other people's cowboy related videos on YouTube and whatnot, the more I'm like, man, gun spinning's kind of cool. So I, when you have, a couple $1,000s worth of extra work done to a gun, man, you get scared about dropping it and things like that. So you don't want to spin it around. But something like this, I picked these up off eBay for, I think, $70 or something like that. So, it's kind of, if I would get the wild hair and I want to practice the gun spinning and stuff, I can do that. I'm not good at it by any stretch of the imagination, but something I like to play with in the shop. Before I got the Denix, for the same kind of ideas of practicing the draw and whatnot, I got this. This is a foam prop gun that was from a Western TV show. And I was like, oh, I'll get this. That'll be kind of cool. Paid like $20 for it. And, it was like I could do the different things, the spins and whatnot. But the weight, since it's just made out of foam, it weighs nothing like any of the other guns. So it's just something I ended up getting. And, I have around, but it isn't very useful. But something that was kind of an interesting, thing to have and whatnot. But those Denix ones really work to do a lot of the practicing and things like that. But I don't think anything can really be, as good as, dry fire practice with the gun that you're actually going to be using. So practicing your draw and your dry fire. And if you, again, subscribe to the channel, I have a little practice range, a dry fire range that I set up and all practice stages. And some of our tournament operators actually put out the stages in advance and tell you what the patterns are going to be. So I'll practice in the garage the day before I go out. And, that has really helped my times a lot because I'm kind of knowing, I've already thought about, is it faster for me to go boom, 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 boom here? And then, especially if I'm double duelisting, it's a little different, or should I try to dirty sweep, or, what am I going to do? So that's been super helpful. Now, one more single action revolver I want to show, when the Expendables came out and, Barney Ross, man, oh, not, only lights faster, that gun, I was like, oh, dude, that is a cool gun. That is great. I want that. But it, I didn't think it existed. And then I found out that it existed, and I was like, okay, I got to get that. So I got the Barney Ross gun from the Expendables, and I got the holster, and I started actually carrying that one as a concealed carry. So, that lasted about a month before I went back to carrying a 1911. But just such a cool gun. So it's got, it's the plow handle, but it is that snub nose, that shorty. It's got no front sight. It's ported there, and it's got the roller. And basically what was going on is when Barney was doing his moves here, they had the traditional hammer on it. He was just cutting up his hand. So they got the idea to put this roller on it. And after they made that, they were like, well, that's pretty cool. So they did a run of these. I think there's like 500 of these that existed. But it's, just a regular, 1873 cattleman, single arm Army clone, and then it's got that holster. So let's see if you can see that thing there. So I got it under the hoodie there, but yeah, so I've got that. So the idea was that I could get it out and have it just like him in the movies. He's a little bit faster than I am, but yeah, cool gun, cool holster. I've taken this to the range. Again, you can check out the channel, see me fanning it a little bit. I didn't do too bad with it, but I got to take it out again. I don't get to take this one out very much because it's illegal in cowboy action because of the roller and the no front sight, and it's ported, so I can't shoot it for that. So I can really only shoot it for fun, and a lot of times, after I just finish up shooting a bunch of cowboy guns, I want to shoot modern guns. But it's great. It's a lot of fun. Again, the single action Army, I think, is just one of the best guns that you can shoot. If you haven't shot one, figure out where your local cowboy action club is. Go down to a shoot, man. If you're in my area, I am happy to let you have a run with some of my guns and things like that. You guys have a great day. Get out there and shoot.